What's going on, everybody? Aaron Trevina here, back with another video, and we are joined by Andres here in beautiful Houston, Texas. How you doing today, Andres?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. No, it's always great to connect with with other people here in our backyard here in Houston. So for those of us who aren't too familiar with you, would you introduce yourself, please?
Well, my name is Andre Jones. I'm CEO and founder of AMJ Global Enterprise. We are a real estate company that pretty much has every aspect of the real estate transaction covered, whether it be insurance, finding a home, selling a home, inspection. Every aspect of the transaction is pretty much covered under my team. Um, we help to build, create wealth for people that is personal and generational through home ownership. And that's our goal, is to be able to help people to achieve uh, wealth building so that they can pass on that wealth to the next generation.
Sure, no, absolutely. And it's interesting as well. We're it seems like in the social media age, we're having more of those conversations, right, about passing on to the next generation, generational wealth. In your opinion, how would you define what generational wealth is?
Generational wealth is basically it's an accumulation of something, more likely assets. Doesn't necessarily have to be money, that you can pass on to your children and their children's children, so that they're able to not be able to struggle like you did to get to where you want it to be. It's hard enough to start the business. It's hard enough to get things going. And in this way, at least you have something to help them transition and to help them figure out how to obtain and go to their goals that they decide to do, their dreams. And it makes life easier for them. They can focus on their gift and what their purpose is in life here, instead of struggling and being able to just survive, to be able to make it in this world. It's something that you can always leave, that's valuable, that people can use in order to take the next step in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And you really hit the nail on the head there. It can be, it can be hard to think of your next objective or your big dream, your big goal, if you're just trying to put food on the table. So it's great to hear something like that.
It's very difficult to change your mindset and be able to look at something a different way when you're always focused on one thing, and that's just making it. Just the very next day, what am I going to eat? What am I going to do? What is, what's going to happen now? You're always worried about the circumstances that may happen, instead of being able to control the circumstances when things do happen.
Yeah, Andre, you made an interesting distinction there, being preoccupied in what could happen versus, the now. And you touched on something interesting there is mindset. What do you, how would you say someone could develop their real estate mindset into, getting to where they want to go?
Well, it all depends on the people you talk to. I mean, you really need to have a network of people that think the way you want to think. Okay, you have to be around like-minded people, and you can't be afraid to ask questions. You can't be afraid to even take criticism sometimes when you're not doing things or being productive as you should. There's so many ways out here to make money and to obtain the goals you have, but you also have to be able to reach out to other people that know more than you and be able to intake the things they tell you, because they've already done it. Uh, and if they haven't done it, then I wouldn't ask them, because basically they're not going to be able to help me go to the next level if they're on the same level I am.
No, absolutely. And it's funny. I smiled there because it reminded me of my grandpa. There was a few lessons I remember from him. I could probably say all of them on one hand, but one of them he would say is, birds of a feather flock together.
Right.
Show me, your five closest friends. I'll show you your future. So,
right?
you're definitely right on there.
That's true. And you are what your network is, and if you're hanging around pigeons, that's what you're gonna end up being as a pigeon because pigeons don't know how to go any higher. Pigeons stay on the ground and eat from the ground. They don't know how to go up like an eagle and soar.
Hmm.
So, if I want to be an eagle, don't hang around pigeons.
That's right. I think, not only myself, I'm sure you and, much of our audience, I don't think anyone wants to be a pigeon, right? I'd rather be an eagle.
But definitely, eagles fly alone, but eagles also have an eye for things, and you won't mess with an eagle. Trust me,
Yeah,
an eagle is dominant.
that's
A
right.
pigeon is timid and they're
Hmm.
scared. They don't want to do anything else. Eagles will leave the nest by themselves and they fly alone and go where they need to go. They go through storms. Pigeons don't go through storms, they run away. Pigeons leave when it's cold. Pigeons leave when there's a storm. And they come back when the storm is over. An eagle flies through storms.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this comes at an interesting time. A lot's obviously happened over the past few years. Maybe people have been they've been trying to ride out that storm, right? They're finally getting out, and maybe it's kind of like, I have some money saved up. Do I really want to take a chance on real estate? What would you tell someone who is maybe kind of in that pigeon phase right now?
Well, I would say there's really, right now, there's not a chance if you buy real estate. It's more, right now, is an opportunity. Buying a house right now is a great opportunity. Yes, they have gone up in price, but the equities on these homes have gone up 20, 30% in the past 2 or 3 years. And you just think if you had bought your house before all this started, what the equity you would have in that home right now compared to what you owe in the house. And you want to only own it 2 or 3 years, but the prices have gone up so much and the value of homes have gone up so much that you would have a nice cushion. And that equity you can use for starting your business, putting your kids through college, so many other things that can help better your life and give you an opportunity to take the next step instead of trying to save all this money on your own.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you can only do so much with a savings account, right? So it's great that you're able to really break down and explain different avenues that people can take.
And you really can only do so much with a job. I mean, they're only going to pay you so much. You
Mhm.
can't keep asking for raises. You can only get promoted so much at a time, most jobs. And so you really are at a point where, okay, if I make this much money, how much am I going to use for my living expenses and how much can I put away? Depending on how much you make and your bills, it may not be significant enough to be able to wait that long to be able to do what you really want to do. So if you purchase a home, at least you have that opportunity to build wealth and be able to use that money for something that can even give you more wealth later.
Absolutely, Andre. And I really admire a lot of the facets of mindset that you're talking about. I can tell that you've worked a lot on that. And I'm curious as well, growing up, did you see yourself working in real estate? Were you always kind of around it, or how did you kind of fall into the industry?
I always saw myself opening houses for some reason. When I was younger, I just liked the fact that, people got to open a house and show it to people, and I kind of just, kind of likened to that for some reason. I didn't know what real estate entailed as far as, buying a house, selling a house. But I just liked the fact that I was opening doors to homes and showing them to people. And so I always wanted to do it, but I always kept putting it off. And I kept making excuses. And I kept saying, well, I don't have the money to take my test and I don't have the time, I'm working all the time. And, just kept making excuses. And finally, I was on a job and they laid me off. and they told me, you know, we're sending you to Mexico so you can train the people to do the job you're doing. And so I felt crazy. It was just, it was a crazy feeling to know that I'm training somebody to take my place. And, they're going to pay them pennies compared to what they're paying me. But I did it. And then once they laid me off, they gave me, severance and all that stuff. And, I took that opportunity to go ahead and just finally get my license. I couldn't come up with the excuse I didn't have time, and couldn't say I didn't have money. I tried to say, well, I can use this money for something else, but then, I ended up going ahead and doing the license, and it's been the best thing that I probably did business wise to get my real estate license, because it helps me to be able to help other people.
Yeah, I love those sorts of stories, and, anytime there's something that, on its face looks seemingly bad, there's always a silver lining, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you get a kick in the pants like that, right? So, unexpectedly losing the job, you're having to go down there to Mexico to train someone to take your position, and you could have easily just rolled over and said, hey, that's it. I don't know what I'm going to do, but you elected to press forward.
Yeah, I try my best to stay with the company, maybe in a different job, see if I applied in different jobs in the company and outside, and I just nothing ever materialized. So it was just something it was probably something God wanted for me to do to take me to a new level. And sometimes that's what you got to do, is to take things from you in order to get you to do something else. So that's what I did, and it was, it's been a blessing ever since.
That's great. I love to hear that. It's a true testament to faith and courage. So I think that's great. And I don't know. I just find stories like that so interesting, right? It's, one moment can really change everything, right? Maybe you could have blown all of the money on something irresponsibly. Maybe you could have gone down the wrong path, but you stayed prudent and, continued on.
Yeah, because I always wanted more, and I never wanted to struggle. I mean, I had my moments of struggling financially, and when the 2008 crisis happened, I got laid off of that job. Didn't have a job for almost over a year, and on unemployment, getting foreclosed on. It was just, I've had my moments of struggling, and I didn't want to continue living that way. I didn't want to continue living paycheck to paycheck. And I definitely didn't want to keep living with somebody else that had control over my future. Telling me when to come to work, and telling me when I can leave, telling me you have to stay late, then telling me we don't need you no more. It was just the unpredictability was unsettling to me. So I had to do something in order to change that, and to be more of my own boss, and be able to get up when I feel like to work as hard as I want to, and to get paid as much as I want to.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, Andre. It's almost kind of a seemingly a paradox, right? So you kind of have this illusion of thinking, oh, well, I have this secure job, but the way you phrase it, it's kind of like, hey, maybe if you work independently, you can really create your own schedule.
Yeah, I mean, if nobody else learned nothing else from the pandemic, is that they'll let you go at any time. Are not secure in somebody else's job. Why? Because they own the business. They're hired you, so they can let you go anytime they want. And but they're only gonna, like I said before, they're only gonna give you or pay you so much. So you'll never get rich working for somebody else. So rich people are work for themselves. They don't work for someone else. So you have to realize that in order to become, a millionaire or more, you're gonna have to do something that gives back to other people. Something that somebody wants. Doesn't necessarily have to be a product, it could be a service, it could be anything, but if you bless people and have the mindset to help people, that's when you can gain wealth more, because when you give more, you get more.
Yeah, that's right. And that again also seems like a paradox, right? If the word give and it insinuates, hey, I'm not going to get anything back. It's gone forever. But really, in a way, it's almost like you're suggesting it's kind of a reinvestment in a way.
Yeah, it's a reinvestment, and it's the way that it's just the way that things are supposed to be. You plant a seed, you get a harvest, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's the law of reciprocity. You know, you give something, you get more back. You always get more than you give, and so that's the point. That's the whole thing that people need to realize is we're here to give. We'll get in the end, but people are on this earth to give what God has placed in them, whatever gift it is, talent, whatever it is, and then the money will follow you. The money will come.
Yeah, definitely. And, I guess if you've weathered those storms, maybe you're having, difficulties in life or financial issues or whatever it may be. It can be hard to see that, but that's a great point.
It is hard to see that. It's hard to see anything when you're trying to survive, when you're just trying to make it and trying to go, hope the next day is going to be better than the day. It's hard to look at it that way. But you gotta see that it happens all the time, even in your low points. People have a natural inclination to give. It may not be money, it may be time, it may be whatever they can give at that moment, food or whatever. But if you look at it, it comes back to you. It may not come back to you tomorrow, but it's there and it'll come back in due time because you did something to get something back.
Yep, absolutely. Well said, Andre. And especially there, I'm sure there are plenty of opportunities to do that here in the city of Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, and I'm curious as well. What drew you to the city of Houston, or what's something you find unique about Houston that maybe you wouldn't find elsewhere in America?
Well, I'm from Milwaukee. I was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I moved here for one because it was warm. I got tired of cold winters. I got tired of snow. I got tired of freezing. All that stuff. It don't be hot until June. I got tired of all that. So I moved here for warm weather. But what makes Houston kind of unique is it's a big old melting pot here. I mean, there's some of everybody here. And you may not relate to everybody, but I feel like a lot of people here can get along together. Like I have Asian neighbors next door, Asian neighbors across the street. There's African American people across the street. There's you know we're all in this neighborhood together, but we all communicate and we come together whenever we see each other. We speak to each other, and we're all cordial. So, and we look out for each other. And so that's what it kind of, I kind of like about Houston is just the diversity that's here, and there's a lot of opportunity here too, with, so many different types of businesses here with, the space, technology, oil and gas, medical, there's so many different industries here that, we can kind of use to gravitate your business, to make your business greater. So many networking opportunities here that I feel like Houston's a good place to be, to start a small business if you really want to do it.
Absolutely. You hit on a lot of excellent points there. I guess I'm biased as a native Texan, but I sure do love the warm weather.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
I ain't mad at the warm weather. I like hot. I don't mind 95.
There you go. There you
Don't
go.
bother me that much, because I know where I came from. But I'd Rather this than that any day.
Yep, I would imagine. I couldn't imagine, I don't know, put snow tires or chains on the tires or whatever people do in the snow, right?
You know, shoveling snow, putting salt down,
Yeah.
you have to go to work when it's freezing cold, you know.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it snows, you still gotta go to work. Here they shut down everything on snowflakes. Snowflakes, a little thin thick of ice, and everybody stays on.
Yep, that's right. And then you go to Academy and they have the 50% discounts on the jackets.
That's it.
Yeah, no, I love to hear it, and I've only been here in Houston a few weeks as a resident. I've been here a few times growing up, and like you said, that sense of community, the whole world being here, and a lot of different cultural things. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, when I first moved here, everybody seemed like they're real nice, real, and everything. They speak to you, and things like that. And where I'm from, I didn't really feel that too much. Didn't really see that a lot. So it was a big change. It's a little bit slower here as far as the way of life. It's not real fast like New York, LA. But I kind of like it that way myself. Because I'm not a fast person anyway. I'm not running around all the time. So it's a great place to live.
That's great to hear. We definitely touched on quite a bit, a bit about your background, getting into real estate, a lot about mindset, what drew you to the city of Houston, and also what you do for a living, here in the real estate industry. Andre, is there anything that you haven't said that you really like to hammer home for us?
Well, I just want to, just take the opportunity to tell people that, they can do whatever they want, in life. I would hate for people to just live their lives always struggling and always wondering what if, sitting back one day and regretting that you didn't try or at least make the attempt to do something. A lot of us, work so hard and always got our heads buried in what we're doing that we don't look up to see what else, we could be doing. And so I want people to just, want more in life, want more than just working for somebody, want more than just a paycheck coming every 2 weeks or once a month or however it comes. To be able to look at themselves and say, what am I here to do? What am I purpose for? And use that gift that you have to benefit other people. And if you do that, you can make a lot of money. That's what Bill Gates did. That's what Stephen Jobs did. They found something, and I'm not telling people they got to find a big old something massive that big, but they found a need, and they used their gift that they had to fulfill a need, and people bought it. People saw the value in it, and it made a lot of money. And that's the same thing we all can do. It doesn't matter our backgrounds. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter who your parents were, what they taught you. We all have gifts. We all have talents. We all have something that God put us here to do. And if we do it, it will make us money. We'll become wealthy. Because the one thing that I know is that God doesn't want us broke. Because if we're broke, we can't benefit him. He can't use us broke. We need money to be able to do what he wants done on this earth. And if we can do that, then we don't worry about what we're going to eat tomorrow. We don't worry about how we're going to make it. All we have to care about is how I can help somebody else. What is it when you get to watching those things on TV and you say, oh, I wish I could help them. Well, if we had the wealth, we wouldn't have a problem doing it. But since we don't, we overlook it and we'll keep going and that, and maybe one day it'll happen for us. Well, nothing's going to happen until you do something. You can't wait for an inheritance or a money bag to come on your front step or somebody just to walk up to you and say, here, I was told to give you this. It may happen at times, but that's not commonly what goes on. Most of the time, you're going to have to take the steps and make the effort for things to work for you and for things to happen. So I just want people to change their way they think about their lives and stop thinking about always what you need and think about what somebody else needs and use that gift to benefit it. That's other people. And you'll see the wealth come.
Yeah, that's, thank you for that. It's definitely some great perspective, especially, it can be difficult to step outside the box and look around, right? Especially maybe you're going through a hard time, or maybe you're looking to get into real estate, not sure how to proceed. So that's definitely very encouraging.
Yeah, and that's definitely one thing I would make sure I tell everybody too is buy a house. And I'm not saying that because I'm a realtor. I'm saying that because that's the quickest way to become wealthy. Real estate. Real estate is the quickest way to wealth. If you buy a house, you got automatic asset right there that can accumulate wealth for you in just a short amount of time. Okay, so buy real estate. I got 12 grandkids, and I'm planning on trying to buy them each land, just land. They're gonna have a lot each somewhere, right? Because it's valuable, and you never know down the line when they get older what it might be worth to somebody, or they might have built their own house on it or whatever. So buy real estate. First step, buy your own house. Then you can think about investments and all that other stuff. But buy your own house first and start from there. And it'll also show your kids what they should do when they get of age. It'll show them that if you buy your house, then that's what they're supposed to do when they get older. Because a lot of times everything we do is passed down to them.
That's right. That's definitely that's the epitome of, setting the example, right?
Yeah, yes, it is. And it's something that we need to teach them that that's a way to become wealthy. Teach them about credit, how to sustain credit, how to get credit, how to keep good credit. You know, um, Financial education, so important to teach children so they'll know when they get older not to just use it wastefully. I mean, 18-year-olds, that got credit cards and just went and splurged the first day they got it. Not knowing you have to pay that money back, and they charging you interest on it too. So financial literacy is very important, and I just wish more of the schools taught it to kids. To be able to tell them how to start a business, how to use your credit wisely and how to build credit. But unfortunately, all they teach you is how to get a job.
Yep, absolutely. And I guess that ties back into giving back, right? So giving back and providing that insight to the next generation.
Yeah, because I didn't learn that as a child. My mother didn't teach me about credit. She had a house. She bought a, my mother and father bought a house when I was, a baby. And, they always owned their own house, but I never was taught financial literacy. I never was taught how to budget, how to balance a checkbook, how to make a budget. I learned that as an adult. But if I had learned as a child, I probably would have eliminated a lot of the mistakes I made when I was younger, when it came to credit and when it came to, having money, the value of it, not just spending it, but using it when you need it and having credit so that way I could have purchased my home when I was in my 20s. Instead of waiting until my late 30s to buy my first house, I could have did it when I was in my 20s, and did something that my family or my friends didn't do, and look at the equity I would have had or, what I could have had down the road had I done it a lot sooner.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of truth to that. I guess that the best time is now, right?
Exactly. There's no better time than now. I mean, it doesn't matter your age. You know, if you do it now so that you will have it down the road, but you can't never get it if you never do it. So it's best to do it now. In 10 years, you never know how the market's going to be. You know, we never thought this would have happened. You know, who would have thought that we'd had a pandemic and there's low inventory of homes. It was a seller's market before, but not like this.
Mm.
And now, you know, all the home values have gone up so much that, you know, sometimes they're outpricing some of the people that's in the market because the homes cost so much. So, but the fact of the matter is, if you own a house, you're not worried about that. You know, you buy a house for 300,000 and now it's worth 375. I mean, who else is going to give you that type of that type of money for anything? You know, so it's a definitely a way to accumulate wealth. And if you can, buy your own home and then buy some more homes after that.
Yep, no, that's there's definitely a lot of truth to that, Andre. You know, so maybe someone's here in your backyard. They're here in Houston. Maybe they're another part of Texas or another part of the country, and they want to connect with you. You know, where can we find you?
Well, I'm all over social media. So you can find me, my name, Andres Jones, Andres. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram. I'm all over social media. So I have a YouTube channel also. So yeah, you can find me all over social media, or if you need to call me, my number is 832-883-0375. You can go to my website, andresjones.com. You can set up a free consultation with me there. I can, you know, we can discuss the process of buying a house and, you know, what you need to buy a house. If you're not ready to buy a house, I have people that can repair your credit. You know, there's a whole lot of opportunity here. And I like to say that, you know, every problem has a solution. So whatever problem you have with buying a home or selling your home, there's an answer for it. You know, you just got to want to do it. Okay. And many times there's more than one way, but you got to want to do it. And, you know, and there's no shortcuts. There's nothing easy. You know, when you want something real bad, it's gonna require some sacrifice. It's gonna require your time, your effort, and it requires you to be consistent. You know, and if you can do that, then you'll get what you want in life in any way.
Absolutely. No, there's so much truth to that. You know, I've really enjoyed our conversation. We've touched on a lot of different points, a lot about you know, your background, your mindset, a bit about what you do, and, you know, the generational wealth and inspiring the next generation. So, you know, I've really enjoyed it, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for inviting me. You know, I love trying to help people. You know, my radio show is called Millionaire Mindset, actually, and it's on usually on every Friday at 11 o'clock Central Time. So. But I love teaching people about mindset and you know, wanting more. And I bring a lot of guests on to just tell their story and to tell how they, you know, where they began and where they are now, and kind of trying to help people to see that, you know, it's possible. It's not, we're not special. We're nobody special. We didn't wake up and have everything handed to us. You know, it's something we can all do, but it's something that we got to be determined to want to do. And it all starts from ourselves. Nobody can change your mind except for you.
Yep, that's absolutely right. There's so much truth to that. You know, well, you know, thank you so much for coming on the show, and we'll definitely make sure to put those links, you know, to your social media, to your show in the description of the video. And we'll talk to you later.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks.